Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, what we're going to talk about tonight is yet another cherry on top for the gun control of New York City. Now, just to catch you up in a brief primer, we had a TRO, or a temporary restraining order injunction, filed against the new concealed carry laws from Kathy Hochul and the legislature of New York. You guys know that. We covered it on this channel a lot. Well, then this morning, we covered Letitia James in her motion, her request to keep the laws in place even though they were ruled unconstitutional or had high concern of unconstitutionality, which is the reason for the injunction. Things that were covered were sensitive place as Times Square, because Times Square is not a sensitive place. Then you've got the social media background checks, and then you have the good moral character approach. All those things were ruled as injunctioned right now. Not fully unconstitutional yet, but ruled under the injunction because they probably are, i.e. they are. However, that's still going through, and Kathy Hochul has come out and said, we are going to appeal this, and it will be upheld in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Well, while all that's going on, Mayor Eric Adams, not to be outdone for his gun control being bona fides, has now passed a law and signed a law that says Times Square is now a sensitive place. Isn't it weird how when you start a different law, it starts the process for legislation and lawsuits all over again? Interesting how that works, isn't it? Make sure you guys understand, this is because you're pushing them and their motion is going against them in their gun control efforts. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think on this one. I'm going to say a quick word from our sponsor, Kamikoto Knives, and then we're going to dive in and I'm going to show you this cherry on top from Mayor Eric Adams. Now, the sponsor for this episode of Freedom is Kamikoto Knives. Now, of course, knives are a little outside of our realm, but every single 2A advocate needs to fuel their body, and to do that, you need the right tool in the kitchen, which is why I want to show you guys these things. These Kamikoto knives are legit. Right out of the box, check out not only the exquisite design and the nature, but look at the balance on that knife. I got a few things to tell you about them. I can't wait to hear what you guys think, and we're going to hit it in 1 second. The knives are made with a high-quality Japanese steel using traditional techniques. Each knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. The knives come in a heavy-duty ashwood box, which makes them a great present. The knives are used by Michelin star chefs all over the world, so why shouldn't they fuel your freedom in your kitchen? Now, Kamikoto has several special offers going on right now and is offering my viewers an extra $50 off on any purchase with the discount code Langley. On top of their special offers, go to kamikoto.com/Langley to get your knife set and help support our channel. Alright, so as I alluded to, make no mistake, the efforts that we're seeing the gun controllers go to is in their home turf. This is in New York City. This is in New York State. This is like the land of liberalism. It's New York State and it's California. They are constantly competing for the number 1 and number 2 spot for the most egregious infringements upon the Second Amendment. However, this is on their home turf, and this is what's happening to their gun control in their own city. Tell me you're not at least making forward momentum and progress, because we are, and I'm about to walk you through it. To make Eric Adams do this is something. Check this out. Everything is always linked. Let's dive in. New York City's Times Square officially becomes a gun-free zone. Again, see the intro. Interesting how it worked. It's common sense. No one should have a gun in Times Square, said the DA. That DA is Alvin Bragg, who goes heavy on the common sense. Irony of ironies if you know anything about Alvin Bragg with releasing all criminals for everything. But we'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about Mayor Eric Adams. New York City Mayor Eric Adams signed legislation Tuesday establishing how the city will make Times Square a gun-free zone, even as the state law underpinning the policy was overturned in federal court. So it was overturned. There's an injunction sitting on it. The sitting AG of New York goes, can we please get these still in place? And yet the mayor goes ahead and does this. It's almost like they're trying to circumvent the judicial system and the lawsuit system that is in place. Well, if it's a different lawsuit and a different law, that's a whole different chain, isn't it? That's what's happening here, make no mistake. But let's dive into this because there's a lot more stuff here. This is incredibly important to understand. Again, their home turf. Adams said the 56 million tourists predicted to visit New York City this year should not have to live in fear as they walk through Times Square, often deemed the crossroads of the world. Again, living in fear from legal gun owners, not living in fear from the criminals who have firearms illegally. No, those are fine. It's those pesky law-abiding ones. They're the ones you need to be worried about. It makes no sense whatsoever on its face. But it's not about common sense. It's about control. Let's keep going. Quote, "We will not allow them to live in fear or distrust that someone is walking around with a gun ready to harm them. So we've prevented all the legal people who have the processing, the licensing, and everything. And we are opening the door for all the criminals who have no licensing, all illegal guns, and everything." What? Let's keep going. A little dramatic effect added for flair, but you guys get the idea. Adams, who owns 3 guns, said the designation of Times Square as a sensitive location was not intended to punish lawful gun owners. Rather, he and other city leaders said it is untenable to have so many guns in a place as densely packed as Times Square. It's not to punish you from your rights, and you can have your rights. It's just, it's unconscionable to think that you would need to have a gun in such a condensed, insanely tight amount of people per square foot where all the criminals would be. Because you've designated it a gun-free zone. You might as well put a big sign that says, "Come for dinner, wolves." Anyway, let's keep going. Got a few more things for you. Alvin Bragg's about to make an appearance. Quote, "It is plain good old common sense that no one should have a gun in Times Square," said Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who joined the mayor for the bill signing. "The law defines the boundaries of Times Square's sensitive location and authorizes the NYPD to implement it, exactly what Letitia James and Kathy Hochul wanted to do through the court system, and yet they weren't going to get it because they are losing." Mayor Adams is up to bat, and he is not disappointing. But we got to hit on Alvin Bragg for a second. Alvin Bragg is the DA, one of the woke DAs, who was getting in some very hot water earlier this year, right after he was elected, around not punishing criminals. Yeah, good old common sense. Thanks, Alvin. And the last thing, and then we will go about our evening. Last week, a federal judge in Syracuse struck down portions of the state's new gun law, including the part that designates all of Times Square as off limits to concealed carry. It's almost like it's a correlation. The state plans to appeal the ruling and has sought to keep the law in effect while the appeal is heard until it is decided. So the motion hasn't even been granted yet from the AG, Letitia James. However, Mayor Adams, go ahead and sign a different law, gets the end result achieved, even if Letitia James does not go through and win, which she wasn't going to because her whole point was ridiculous. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next episode. I'm Braden. See you later.